Hey YouTube, Shelka04 here. So, this is my final video for the day and probably the hardest one to make because it sort of hits close to home. The topic, uh, as a prepper, your significant other is your weakest link. And by that I mean, unless you married a combat proven medic, uh, you probably have some issues to contend with. What are those issues? Well, let's talk about the whole prepping thing in and by itself. Again, I've said that my prepping is completely half-assed, so don't look to me for any examples. But the funny thing is, what little I do is sort of treated with the same sort of hoo-hoo as if I was building a radio-controlled airplane in the basement. Meaning, my efforts, my thoughts, my concerns are all looked upon as that's his project. That's what he's into. As long as it doesn't bother me or interfere with what we're trying to get accomplished, leave him to it. And that sort of makes things difficult for me because if we were both on the same sheet of music, obviously it would take some of the stress off of me. So the next thing is your significant other probably looks at the whole tactical thing completely different. And by that I mean we all like to think that, we've got somebody else's back and somebody else has our back. But if the person you rely on to have your back picks up a weapon and holds it like a dead mouse, like this. Am I holding it right? That's a problem. You want the person who's got your back to be as confident having your back as you are having their back. And so with that disparity there, there's some concern. Now the other thing is, I'm sitting here on 8 acres of land that we own, and it's a relatively big area. Now, my concern is this. If somebody pulls up to the gate over there and we are in an SHTF situation, how is that handled? If I go up to the gate, nobody has my back. And by that I mean, in a true SHTF situation, if I've got to go up to the gate to see what whoever wants, I want to know that somebody 400 yards away is watching my ass through a red field. And I want to know that if I drop my hat or if I itch my ass or whatever the trigger sign is, that's when 168 grains will come whistling over my shoulder and change the perspective of my visitor's day, if you know what I'm talking about. So there's that. Now, what if I send my significant other up to the gate? What does that mean? If we haven't discussed the whole tactic thing, does that mean she's up there talking kumbaya and we can give you half of everything we have? I don't know. So what do? You strap a walkie-talkie on their hip and send them up there? Maybe you don't send them up there at all. Now here's the problem. Here's why this is an issue. Because here we are in a completely normal scenario, and there have been a couple of times already where events have occurred that I've worried about. Case in point, we were in Tupelo, Mississippi once, and we were camping out in a Walmart parking lot in the RV, and somebody wrapped their hands up, bang, 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 on the back of the RV. And my inclination is to turn out the lights, look out the blinds, evaluate the situation. What are they doing? What are they looking to accomplish? And if need be, we drive away. That's my ultimate solution since we are in a non-SHTF situation at the moment. My significant other's solution is to scream profanities and go running out the front door or running out the side door. I didn't expect that at all. Now, what does that mean? That means that if they were coming to rob us, that she could have run out into a knife blade. If they were coming to steal stuff from the RV, she could have run out into the blade of a screwdriver. I don't know. Fact of the matter is, it happened all in about a second and a half, and I was standing there with my jaw dropped thinking, well, we just blew our cover. Anyway, so that's the kind of tactical concern that I've got. Now, the next concern is the whole medical thing. And, I have really sort of half-assed first aid training from when I was in the military. I can bandage a wound, and apparently I can dress a sucking chest wound, because they seem to focus on that a bit. But, I've been up against situations where I've had to address somebody's injury, and I've done it. Don't get me wrong, I don't enjoy it. It makes me want to puke, actually. But I've offered the psychological support, cleaned the wound, bandaged it up, blah, 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 sent them off to the hospital. Life was good. If I have a cut on my leg, in the front of my leg, I can address it myself, and life will be good. Whether I've got to stitch it up or clean it or what have you. If I have a cut in the center of my back, I'm worried about it, because my significant other, I don't have the confidence in the medical thing there. So it worries me. Now, what's the solution? The solution isn't to acknowledge the problem and avoid it. The solution is to try to get your significant other up to speed on the whole prepping idea as, I don't know if I would say gingerly or as delicately or whatever you have to do to get that person interested, is something to consider. Now, what I found interesting was, I think the guy's name is William Friedkin. There's a book called 1 Second After, and it's about an EMP that goes off over the U.S. and basically knocks out the electrical grid. Well, my significant other read that book in about a day and a half, and surprisingly enough, changed her tune a bit. So I got to find the sequel to that book. The problem that I discover is too much exposure to that kind of literature or YouTube video or what have you, and it tends to have the exact opposite effect, and it sort of shuts down the interest and enthusiasm and brings about more of a defeatist attitude. So that's something to consider. But, like I said, I was happy about the results that this book brought about. I think that, and now that the weather is changing, I think we've got to get out and do some dry fire drills with the Glock and, do the old blindfolded stripping and reassembling of the thing, and really get to the point where you are familiar with that weapon, and not, like I said, treat it like it's a dead rat. And then after that, we'll figure out where to go from there. Anyway, those are some thoughts, maybe some answers, some solutions, but I want this to be not a one-sided me on my soapbox kind of deal. I'm interested in how other people have been able to get their significant others up to speed on the whole idea of SHTF and prepping and that sort of stuff. So I really ask for people this time to leave comments and leave questions, and let's try to get a dialogue going down below about what we can do to sort of help ourselves, and more importantly, so that we can help our loved ones to help us in an SHTF situation, if that makes sense. Anyway, if you have any other questions, leave them down below. And again, please subscribe to my channel, and we'll talk to you later. I want to encourage you to check out some of my other videos. They're fun. All right, we'll talk to you later. Shelka04 out. Bye.